Hello. Hello to all of my traders. Welcome to the Cup TV, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and where you can always come to us first to quench your reality thirst. I am your girl, Lana, your resident evil diva, and I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. Purr. And if you have some tea, you know what to do. Hit me up. I am currently finishing off my water, and because hydration is important. But if I was drinking anything else, I would be drinking out of my cup mug. Panel full of cup mugs. Beer, beer. Beer, beer, beer. Panel full of cup mugs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you can get your cup mug or any of our cup merch at wannageescreations.etsy.com. The link will be in the description below. And we do ship internationally and domestically here in the US. So there are no excuses. And I'm looking at you, US. There are no excuses. We ship. Get your cup merch. Period. My other traders have arrived. Whew.
And my name is Jack, the resident game designer of the panel. And, I know we had talked about a funeral like 10 years ago, but to see it actually play out now was certainly an interesting one.
Hmm.
Because that man
Uh,
got buried.
Yeah, that's irony, if you will. But yeah, we lost a traitor, Jack. We had to banish our traitor. Look, sometimes it goes that way. David wasn't cutting it. He was too obvious. He was too obvious, and the heat was on him. So
Yeah.
we lost David. But
It's
it,
unfortunate, though. I
it's,
mean, maybe I shouldn't have thrown his name out to multiple people and then
Jack,
voted for him. But,
Jack.
we had to give them some traitor blood, okay?
We had to give him traitor blood. I agree with you on that. I
It
agree.
just made sense.
It makes sense. But we are here to talk about Traitors US episode 6. But before we jump into that, we have some business we'd like to take care of here on the Cup. So if you are a fan of this reality TV that we'd love to talk about here on this channel, hit the subscribe button. We see you new subscribers coming in, and I appreciate you so very much. We ask you to continue to subscribe, follow this, hit the notification bell so you know when we drop videos, because we do drop videos almost every single day about almost all things reality TV, and we appreciate that. If you're a fan of drag or drag race of any kind, we do have a channel for you. Go to the Cup Pod, where we talk about almost all things drag, and we put out content almost every single day. And if you're a fan of Eurovision, you can go join our Eurovision channel, Eurovision Song Contest, and it's the Cup ESC. So videos are coming out on a regular basis over there because Eurovision season is heating up. So do all of those things. If you want to give us, some monetary delight, we appreciate that. Go to our main channel, give us a super thanks. We appreciate that. Any donations that you give to this channel will go right back into making this podcast better and greater for you. And also, we have joined the ranks of memberships on our main channel. So if you want to be a member of the Cup family, get your teapot, get your tea mug, get your teacup, come to the tea room because that's our membership channel, and you can hang out with us. And there we have extra content that we will be happily and well and readily giving to you. Things that maybe will come out on the main channel later, but you get first access to that of some of our stuff. We got ways that you can get to know us as the panelists and other fun things that we have in store for you guys. So check us out over there. It's just $5. So join us our membership and come to the tea room. Check us out in there. So that's all of that. Now let's get to the fun stuff that we're here for, which is Traitors US, where we left off. We left off where a plan was hatched and they were
It
trying to see
was
if the traitors would go fall into the plan.
a simple little ploy, and this whole episode hinges around, honestly, one of the smartest moves that has been done on any Traitor series.
Absolutely.
For it to come from fucking Pilot Pete is something I never could have called going into this season.
So I never would have thought it either. But Pete came up with a plan and he wanted to see if the traitors was going to fall into the trap of that plan. And Dan was in the with the traitors and he was leading the charge on who should be murdered that night. And he was like, Peter told me he got the shield. Him and Janelle got the shield. We just got rid of Janelle with the shield in her pocket. So might as well take out the other number one ally to some of these people who are the faithful of the faithfuls. Is what they're calling themselves, the faithful of the faithfuls. And we should go after Bergie. And Parvati kind of pushed back on it a little bit. She was like, "Oh, I don't think we should do that. That just seems like we shouldn't
Too
do
risky.
that. Too risky." And Dan was like, "I need this. I need this. This is my cue. I need it." And Phaedra was like, "If you need it, you go ahead. We gonna support you, whatever you do."
We can't
So
stop you.
they murdered that bird. They murdered Bergie.
Yeah. I mean, they take a shot,
They take the shot.
but
Bergie
but
has the shield, and we know
yeah.
that.
Oh no.
So
So
we go ahead.
they fully uh so for clarity, Peter has told the people he believes are traitors, being CT, Dan, and Parvati, that he has the shield. And that's all he said to them, that he had the shield and he won it from the mission. And as such, himself and Janelle completely safe. Of course, this is a blatant lie.
Mm-hmm.
Bergie and Trishelle have the shields and he's
Yep.
completely safe.
Yep.
And why they haven't been doing this from the start on any series is
Right.
really confusing, because
Right.
this was the entire point of getting shields in both the previous UK version and the previous US version and multiple other international series. So why the strategy stop the minute people can get shields publicly? If they could hide it, they probably should have.
I mean, I feel like this strategy is good if you think everybody who is doing that said mission with you, who can get a shield privately, is all faithful. If one of the people believe that, if they believe that one of the people who are doing this is a traitor, you saying that it's just not going to work. So they have to
But
believe that everybody is a traitor or faithful.
but in realistically, traders should always be taking shots at people who they believe will go down.
Hmm.
So why would you take a shot at someone who doesn't have potential to go down, unless one, you're being stupid risky, or two, you know that they can't go down even though they have a fake shield up. So that's where it goes, at least for me, in terms of strategy of, no matter what, you will never shoot at someone with a shield, because either you get a guaranteed hit or it makes it look like you know who had the shield. And as such, you're putting yourself out there as, how did they know that? Oh, it's because they're a traitor.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
I mean, I still don't understand why everybody who gets shields just feels it's necessary to tell everybody that they got a shield. Like I
I
would
don't either.
never, I would never tell maybe one person if I tell anybody, because I'm like, I'm not saying nothing, and if everybody show up the next day, I'm like, Oh, you
Hmm.
were coming for me, and I had this cute shield. Traitors.
It is also an interesting note, because I believe across all of the English series so far, no one has ever been attacked while having a shield because they've just never attempted it before.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just hear that no one was murdered. We hear that the person who was attacked knew they were attacked and they
Mm-hmm.
were saved, which is incredible knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense why that happens, but it's just interesting to know more details about the format and more information that goes to and more information that goes to the faithfuls because they don't really
Absolutely.
get a lot.
That's true. So we get to breakfast and everybody shows up. And the looks on Dan and Parvati and Phaedra was kind of like, what just happened? It was the same look when Ekansu showed up. It was kind of like, huh?
Huh?
Huh? What is happening?
Just a little bit of peculiarity, and
Yeah.
Peter
And
comes in the
and
room relatively late too, and he's just like,
he
okay,
said he was like, if John shows up, I know they tried to take out Bergie. And if they took out Bergie or tried to take out Bergie and Bergie shows up, I know exactly who it is. So when John walks into that room, Peter was like, game on check, mate. I know it. And he looked directly at Dan, he looked directly at Parvati, and he looked directly at CT when Bergie walked into that room. And CT was like, "Oh, hey, Bergie, what's going on?
great. Wait, no one's
Wait,
dead?
nobody's dead? That's crazy." And Parvati and Dan were like, "Oh,
Oh
no
no.
one's dead." And it was in that moment he was like, "Oh no, CT ain't it, but Parvati and Dan are."
Yeah. I mean, Peter just straight up announces my plan worked successfully. And looking at it, what he literally asked everyone, like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
CT is in genuine shock. He's like, wait, what? That was a plan? And Dan and Parvati are a lot more concerned.
Yeah, yeah.
And Peter immediately rules out CT, which,
Mm-hmm.
holy shit, a
Holy
trap
crap.
that actually gets two traitors
Yeah,
with
sickening,
no additional duds.
crazy,
Incredible. Just incredible
crazy.
gameplay.
I never thought I'd be giving Pilot Pete any kind of praise, but that was an amazing
Here we
move.
are.
Here we are. That was an amazing move, and he did that. So we get Alan coming in saying he only gives, sarcastic lines and look fabulous, so he don't know what's happening. So whatever, meet him out there for a mission. That's literally what we give from Alan, and people are Peter is on cloud. He's like, I knew it, I knew it. He's like, I got it. We getting them out today. We're getting out some traitors. Um, so Parvati goes to talk to Peter, and Peter's like, so why aren't you a traitor? And she's like, why aren't you a traitor? I was like, we can all sit here and say we faithful. I'm saying I'm faithful. I'm saying I'm a faithful. So why do you think you got me? Who's ruled out as a traitor? Well, just because I did this don't make me a traitor. Well, just because I did that don't make me a traitor. Exactly. So we're faithfuls. I'm a faithful. Are you a faithful? Well, I was like, this
This
conversation
conversation is nothing.
is nothing. And Peter was like, I still think she's a traitor. She's giving me nothing and it's letting me know that she's a traitor. So there we go. And so as soon as Parvati leave, Dan comes in. And Dan was like, he's like, why would you think I'm a traitor? Like he seems like he's so shocked. Like, I thought we were friends. Why would you do that to me? I don't what do you mean? What? He was like, I mean, I've had suspicions for you from the beginning. He was like, what? I thought we were what? It's like he's like, okay. He said, he's like, you've been too quiet. You're not helping. You're not saying anything. Da, da. He's like, I
Well,
don't
I
get
have
it.
someone.
But I have
I have
someone.
exactly one thought, and I'll tell
Right.
you it later.
He's like, so you saving it for the round table? He was like, yes. And
Yeah.
I was like, that is not the smartest move, Dan, but okay.
I mean, I guess if you need to throw yourself off, the second you're gonna do it is directly in front of everyone.
Yeah, but I think
But
if you are so deep down in the dirt like Dan is, I feel like you need to start planting some seeds beforehand. You don't have to say the name right outright, but you like, I've narrowed it down between a couple of people, a few housewives, I think. Just whatever your plan is, or whoever your plan is, like throw it on a little seedling of something, and then like, but I'll reveal it at the round table, and so people can start thinking, like, what do you think he's talking about? What are you talking about? Da, da. I don't know.
I have a feeling I know why he did it, and it's something we'll go into when he
Mhm.
actually reveals this master plan. But I
Mhm.
think it was an element of surprise that he didn't want Pete telling anyone
Mhm.
because that could give his target a moment to figure out what was going on.
Mhm. He
So
did, yeah. He didn't tell anybody. He told people the same thing. He told CT, he was like, I just got somebody. I'll tell it at the round table. I've been looking at one person. He told Kevin, he was looking at one person. And he just made sure he told certain people that he was just looking at one person and he'll reveal it all at the round table. Da, da, da. So that's really what happens in that moment. And then we go to the mission. And the mission is the catapult that we've already seen before, but it's okay.
yeah,
Same
I
place, we'll see the
mean,
same missions.
it does actually provide us a really nice parallel though, because the way that this mission is treated compared
Mhm,
to in the UK
mhm,
is really kind of fun
mhm,
because a
mhm.
lot more people are desperate.
Yes, yes. It was a lot more desperation happening in this cast, and it was a lot more. Uh, we got
Shield grabs.
shield grabs this time because on the UK we only got two shield grabs, but on this one, four shield grabs. Um, we saw they had the catapult. If you haven't seen it, if you hadn't seen it, um,
You
you
hear it?
have the cannonball. The golden cannonball is going to have to go with them on this journey. They had to go pick up pieces from the catapult along this long journey, and they had to grab all the pieces, put them on this sled, and lead them away. Shield ammo is all scattered throughout the place, and they had to take it all there. Once everybody got all that stuff there, they had to finally get to the place and put the catapult together. It took a lot of manpower, a lot of labor, a lot of tired people at the end of this long trek. Um, they got the catapult to the spot with mere seconds to go, or like about
Because of
5
course.
minutes ago, of course. And they finally got it together. They put the catapult together with mere seconds because absolutely, why wouldn't it? Um, and to win $20,000.
Yay. But of course that isn't what actually is really important about the mission. The important part is what happened to get various shields
Yes.
because Lord have mercy, this was a fucking wreck. Uh the first instance is Trishelle and Kevin linked arm in arm crossing a river. And Trishelle's like, oh, there's a shield. Do you mind if I go get it? Kevin's like, are you kidding? And they both start trying to run or something towards it. Both end up falling flat on their face, and it ends up in Trishelle's possession. So Trishelle gets a shield box, and that means she should get a shield.
No, does it? It means you have a chance to get a shield because that is what it
Yeah,
is. This is an all or nothing mission. Either you get it all or you get nothing. So Trishelle had a chance to get it. And then we
a
see
chance.
a chance, a chance. And then we see, um, I think it was Pete who grabbed the next. No, it was
Pete grabbed
Sandra.
one.
Yeah,
Sandra
Pete
grabbed
grabbed.
the next
Yeah,
one.
Sandra grabbed one, and then Pete grabbed his along the way, and then somebody else got one. Was it Trishelle, Pete, Sandra?
I know Sheree got the last
Sheree got Sheree got one. That was who it was. Sheree
and
got one.
then
Well, we got it all on. They got all the ammo boxes on the cart and in the sled, and then they were carrying it to the thing. But when it got to the catapult part, they had to actually push the catapult as well to the station. And Alan makes the statement that if you put your shield ammo on the hay, that's who the shield belongs to. That's who gets the chance. And Pete was back there pushing the catapult while Kate
Kate,
was holding his shield box.
which of course it's Kate that's there.
So Kate is
Ugh.
like, "What do I do?" And they're like, "Girl, put it on there." She was like, "I don't know. I don't want it. I don't. I don't know. I don't know." She was like, "I'm not taking it." So she puts it down and leaves it there.
And
And
Pete is running up like, "Don't you dare take my stuff!" And he just slams it on and goes back. Which
And I'm honestly, I think that was the right move for Kate. I don't think she should have been the one to just take his thing and put it on there, because then that would have made her look real snaky and selfish, and they would have gave her the Janelle treatment.
yeah. So I do think it was the right call, but also it would have been really funny if she did.
Yeah,
But I mean, after that, catapult is built. Yay! Now we have 5 people who are fighting for a shield.
yeah.
And if I
Uh,
remember correctly,
it was you had to catapult the thing, and whoever gets it closest to the target wins. And we see all of them go, um, all of them go to take their shot, and Sheree wins.
yeah, I mean,
She got it right on there, close.
she got it right close. And this Peter not winning, he acts like he just got murdered.
Yeah.
Like he's like, okay, I'm gonna die now. Which, I mean, is a reasonable thing to think in this game,
Mhm.
especially after making a move so big. But also,
Mhm.
like, he's acting like full funeral.
Mm. Absolutely. Like, if I die, remember what I said, because I'm gonna die tonight. This is it for me. I'm dead. Just know that I'm dead, y'all, and this is it for me. Like, oh, okay. Oh, okay then, Pete, if you think so. But everybody goes back to the house. It still talks about who is the traitor. Conversations are happening, and we got the faithful of the faithfuls with Pete, Bergie, John, Trishelle, and Kevin. They're the faithfuls of the faithfuls. Everybody knows they're faithful. Everybody believes they're faithful. They know they're faithful. They trust each other. And they're sitting in the billiards room, and they're talking, eating their dinner, talking about who they think are traitors. And Parvati comes to go in the room, and Pete kind of like closes the door and was like, "Hold on, no, you can't come in here." And I was like, "Hmm? Why would you? Why would you do that?" But the reason they were doing that is because they were discussing that between Dan and Parvati, Parvati is the most suspicious. Parvati is the traitor for sure. Is Parvati, and we don't want her to know that we think it's her. But then after they finish
As
talking,
you slam a door on
in
her
her face.
face to
Mhm.
not imply at all that it could be her.
Absolutely. She would never know that you think it is her. But sure. Um So after they do decide to let her in, she's sitting there and she's having a conversation with Bergie. And Bergie is like, she's like, so who do you think it, what are you thinking? What are we thinking over here? And he's like, I mean, I think might be Dan, possibly. And she's like, oh, okay, Dan. And you have another name? He's like,
Mm,
mm. She's like, oh, so me. Saying without saying is me. He was like, yeah, saying without saying.
mhm.
Saying without saying. And she was like, oh, interesting.
Okay.
Okay. Good to know.
Interesting.
Right, right. Good.
Peculiar, even.
Weird. Suspicious, maybe. But okay. And they were just very confident in their accusations. And here's the thing, I want to clown them for their confidence. I want to play my thing for their confidence, but I can't because when you're right, I can't be mad at you.
And they had good reason to be right too.
Yep.
Like it's not like, oh, she just did something suspicious, she must be a traitor. It's no, there was a direct plan laid out that went perfectly and she kind of exposed herself.
Right. It was kind
Although
of
she was kind of a
forced to
side
do that.
piece to it and was kind of just a part of it. But,
Yeah.
whoops.
Whoops. Whoops, indeed. So we get that conversations are being had. That's about it until we get to the round table. Am I right? Or did something else
Mhm.
happen? So round table.
Other
We get
than other than Dan basically going, I know I have to take my shot tonight because I
yeah.
know if I don't take it, I'm done.
Yeah.
And we get to the round table.
And here's where the shenanigans and the foolishness begins, people. Because this, sir,
Train
We should
directly into a
all
brick wall.
aspire to have the confidence of a straight white man.
because Dan has decided his big, huge, masterful plan was going to be he was going to close, just pick off people who he thinks could be traitors and like, and no, then I'm gonna shut them off. They didn't do it. That's not them. That's not them. Came down to two people. The two people being Parvati and Phaedra.
Okay. He's going to knock out Phaedra. He's going to drop all suspicion on her
Right.
and just
And
go for Parvati and present the obvious argument. Yeah, it's obvious, but like it makes the most sense.
and people will believe that. And I'm like, yep, he's gonna take out Parvati. He's gonna get her. He's gonna get her. It's either go work or not work. But it makes sense to throw her under the bus since she got heat on her name. Yep. And he decides to go for Phaedra.
What the fuck do you mean, Phaedra?
No heat on Phaedra at all. All the heat and all the smoke on Parvati. And he goes for Phaedra.
What?
What?
I
What?
Phaedra had literally no heat on her, except for, I guess, the tiniest match of a flame from like, oh, and it might be the housewives, but that was immediately discarded. Like the logic was, if I remember correctly, okay, so never got a vote.
Mm-hmm.
And also the voting history has been
Mm-hmm.
pretty
Mm-hmm.
clean, except for that one vote from Phaedra that we can't explain.
Which she promptly explained.
Which she promptly explained. And
then it was the breakfast shenanigans, the
the
reactions,
breakfast behaviors.
like when she consoled Larsa for losing her boyfriend in the banishment. who is also a fellow housewife. How dare she console her? That's
But
suspicious, right? Hmm. But then, Jack, there was also her reaction to Bergie. Oh no, not my burgerlicious. Because that's suspicious. Why would she say, oh no, no, not my burgerlicious? That's weird. That's suspicious. And what was the other one? Reaction he
I don't
burger.
remember because all of these are off base.
So
Literally every single one of these accusations can be easily explained away.
mm-hmm.
And Dan's entire plan here was to take Phaedra so off guard that she can't respond, and he wins the argument by default.
Little does he know.
Unfortunately,
Mm, Phaedra's not just
Phaedra's
a
a
housewife.
goddamn lawyer and literally dismantles Dan's argument piece by piece. It is one of the most beautiful takedowns I have ever seen in any piece of media.
It was poetry in motion. Like we just saw how it is done in a courtroom. Like she literally every act counter that he had, she had a counter reaction to whatever he said, and it was just like, well, what about this? Well, this is what happened. Well, what about this? Well, this is what happened. And when he was like, I mean, I feel like what you're doing is a little extra, and she's like, and she at that point had Kate on her side. Kate is like, have you seen her? And she like, boo, I'm sitting right here at a round table in a fur. You don't think I'm extra? She was like, baby, I'm extra because you do too little. But right now you're doing too much. And it's not cute.
And that is literally in that moment, she is sending him a message in double speak, both
Yep.
as a faithful defending herself and as a traitor saying, "Are you fucking kidding me, you idiot?"
Like, what? She was like, oh, I am doing too much because you do too little. And I am not the one or the two for you to be playing with around here at this here round table. And she let him have. He said, no, no, no. See, and then Bergie jumps in and was like, that wouldn't make any sense for her to come for me because um I trust her, so she wouldn't for the long game, it would make no sense for her to come for me. She was like, exactly. I have nothing against Burgerlicious. I want Burgerlicious to be here. So why would I try to kill Burgerlicious? He was like, well, I didn't say you tried to kill him, but you just said I was the murderer. So if I was the traitor, I would have tried to kill Bergie, wouldn't I? Because that's what the plan had happened. So that doesn't make any sense for me because I like Bergie. Bergie like me. Why would I try to kill Bergie? That don't make no sense. And I was like, oh, she is dismantling this whole argument that you're trying to put before her when he had a very easy out. But the problem is, he underestimates people in this game. And that is what Dan's downfall was in this game. Underestimated. He underestimated Pete because he's like, he's just a bachelor guy. I just what it is. He's just somebody from the Bachelor. He wouldn't think of a smart plan to something like that. And he underestimated Phaedra, was like, oh, she's just a housewife. She has no knowledge of this game. She has no strategy. She's going to be so stunned that I came for her. She wouldn't have anything to say. Like you said, she wouldn't have nothing to say. And he would win the argument by default. And it was like, you met your match up against two people who you underestimated. And it was like, oh, and I was just like, and it was just so crazy how everything he said, you could see the faithfuls like they were looking at him like, mm mm, mm mm, it ain't
He
adding
might
up,
have he
mm
might
mm.
have had some support if Phaedra didn't immediately destroy him.
Mm-hmm.
Every single punch reflected and thrown back at him, and at that point, it's over.
And it made her look very much like a faithful trying to defend herself instead of going for another traitor. Because, like, we saw in UK when it was traders going against each other and they were just throwing out receipts on each other. And it was like, oh, if y'all ain't picking this up, I don't understand because they throwing out receipts that ain't supposed to know. But with this one, she didn't have to throw out no receipts. It was all just defending what he was trying to say was against her. And she was like, oh, I just did this for this. Oh, I did this for this. And I did this for this. And that's not weird. That's just who I am. And it just looked very bad for him and very good for her.
And of course, Peter gets in there and is like, wait, no, we should actually look at Parvati really quick.
Which,
Okay.
and that's why I was like, dang, that's where you're stupid. Because if you would have said Parvati, it would have been Parvati over you. It would have been Parvati over him.
I think what Dan was attempting was to not say the obvious name because it is so easy to do so. It literally saying CT's name out of that group wouldn't have made any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Saying Parvati's name would make sense, but it is the most obvious play, and anyone can look at him and go, wait, aren't you just throwing out the person who had the most obvious pitch? Couldn't the same evidence be applied to you? He needed to try and throw out someone who didn't have the same heat as he did.
Right.
And unfortunately, he chose literally the worst person to do that against.
Yep. Absolutely.
I think there were a couple of worse options, but like brick wall. He ran into a fucking brick wall.
Absolutely. It was
and it's pretty shut.
it,
It's over.
it's definitely over after that. It's like, it's crazy. But yeah, unfortunately for Dan, the vote was not in his favor. He got banished. He announced he was a traitor, and everybody was like, yes, we finally got a traitor. And Phaedra was like, yeah, we got him. I'm pissed. I was like, girl, you better control yourself because then that's gonna look very. I don't want you to look like you mad because your trader outed you. You gotta look happy that you got a trader, but like, but I can't believe he came for me like that. Like, you have to balance that.
And Trishelle definitely notes, wait, couldn't that have just been a traitor coming for a traitor?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, it could have been. But
yeah,
the most interesting point of that whole voting, besides, of course, Peter voted for Parv because of course he did. And Dan voted for Phaedra because of course he did.
Of course he did.
John decided to rip into Dan during his vote. And you could tell he's a politician because he was voting like there was a hot button issue on the table. Just, oh my God.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, genuinely, I think a lot of people have said this at this point, but when John was cast on this series, everyone was like, what? Someone from British Parliament, not even US government, but United Kingdom? And to watch him throughout this entire episode and throughout this entire series, honestly, be a pivotal player has been so cool because it's just he's having fun. He's enjoyed himself. He's fought with this kind of ire of I know that I'm the odd one out and I'm going to prove that I'm up to snuff.
Absolutely.
And I'm so happy he has.
I am very happy. I love John. I am a fan of John. I'm very glad I picked John.
Yeah. Everyone who doubted John from the beginning, you called it. You called it. Good on you.
There was so much not knowing, but I just had a feeling about John. It was something about John for me. But yeah. So we get to the traitor's lair.
Well, there's a
And
little more
well,
beforehand.
Go ahead. Well,
What I'm gonna call the Faithful Five meet up again.
I forgot about them.
Yeah. They meet up one more time, and Parvati rightly calls it out as like, y'all are just gonna make an alliance at this point and make sure you five are together. How do you know one of you isn't a traitor?
Right.
And I think she and a lot of other people have realized the format of the show where if you take out a traitor, there's a good chance that you'll be able to recruit again. So as a faithful, this isn't like a confusing line to go down. But Pete is kind of preparing for his own death. He's very much sure that he's going to die tonight, and he's giving all the information out that he can. And, well, he isn't murdered.
No. Well, here's the thing. After they have their conversations and we get to the traitor's lair, it's Parvati and Phaedra, and they're like, what are we going to do?
Interesting.
What are we going to do? They're like, that was interesting. We see, and Phaedra's like, I'm pissed. Oh, I'm pissed at what he just did. She was like, yeah, he was. She was like, I didn't think that was what he was going to do. She was like, I am pissed, but we move. He's gone. We got to figure out what we're going to do. And then it was a knock on the door, and they both, ah! I was like, oh, Jesus, stop screaming. And in walks Alan, and Alan is like, traitors. You have an opportunity to seduce someone to become a traitor. You can take this opportunity to seduce them, or you can murder someone instead. The choice is yours, traitors. And so they talk. Oh, my Alan impression actually is pretty good. That was fine. Um, so they're talking, and Parvati is like, I think we need to seduce tonight. And she said, I think I know exactly who we need to seduce too. We need to seduce Pete. And Phaedra's like, what? Pete? She was like, yes, hear me out. Hear me out. That group, all of them, feel like they are the faithful of the faithfuls, and they know everything, and they trust each other with their whole heart and soul. And what we need to do is put a traitor amongst them. And Phaedra was like, oh, risky, but I like
good
it.
idea.
But a good idea. She's like, it's risky, but she's like, I mean, I'm gonna let you have it. She said, because you on death row right now. She said, you on in intensive care. She said,
I'm just walking
like,
to the hospital.
she said, I'm just walking in the hospital. Parvati's like, you should, because you had a rough night too. She said, yeah, I mean, that was rough, but I'm just walking in the hospital. But you were in intensive care. The heat is on. And she was like, she said, so I'm gonna let you do what you want to do, and I'm gonna support you, but I'm gonna let you decide. And Parvati's like, okay, I think we need to seduce Pete, because she's like, because I want to watch him go in there and have to murder his own friends and see how he feels about it, how he reacts. And I was like, ooh, okay, look, Parvati has welcomed herself into the chat and ready to play this game.
I have an opinion about specifically recruiting Pete, because I think their logic was right up until they decided to recruit Pete. Because if you think about it, regardless of what Pete does here, when there is no murder the next day, the obvious thought process for most people is there was a recruitment. Who would have gotten recruited? Oh, the person that actively just called it the traitors because now they're a problem. And they want to permanently knock them out. So, regardless of what Pete does, whether he's actually a faithful or a traitor, doesn't matter. The same logic still applies. So, why recruit him? Recruit one of the other four. Recruit one of the other four, have Pete killed off because it's the likely option, have him forcibly reveal that he's a traitor, and then let all hell break loose. Because now the four of them can't be trusted, and that whole clique goes down. Basically, it is just an expansion of the logic. And that's what I would have done. I don't know if that's exactly what would have happened, because obviously there are a lot of other voices in the room. But at least for me, this is the second best move they could have made. It's the more obvious one, and I do think it is still a great move. But I think they could have done a little more. And if Pete declines here, I think they're in an amazing spot, because him getting revealed as a faithful after he declines is going to send everyone into panic. But if he accepts, I mean, it's still a good move.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'm ready to see what happens. I'm interested in seeing what actually they just first, if Pete accepts, number one, and how that would work for them. How it would play out. But
does he blow it up from the inside?
He could. That's what I was thinking. Because I still think he will still come after Parvati. And I think we do have a showdown between Pete and Phaedra towards the end. But I still think he votes out Parvati at some point and blows it up. But we'll see.
I mean, regardless of what happens, he can't get off Parvati.
No, he can't. And I don't think he's going to, even if he's a traitor or not.
Yeah, I think Parvati at this point, so it's a weird counterbalance. If Pete accepts and he is a traitor, then eliminating Pete could potentially exonerate Parvati, because it's like, wait a minute, you were a traitor. You could have just known what was going to happen, intentionally do that, and then fuck things around. But it's also a possibility that if he does accept, Parvati still goes regardless. If he doesn't accept and he's revealed as a traitor, then Parvati is basically dead. Like, she's gone the next episode. So it's going to be an interesting, because this is basically the halfway point.
Yes.
So we're getting into Endgame.
Yeah, and while we're talking about Endgame, there is a draft update. So as of right now, Lewis is hanging on with Bergie. Brooke is hanging on with CT and Phaedra. Anissa is hanging on with Parvati and Peter.
Oh, God.
David is hanging on with Sandra. I am hanging on with John and Trishelle. Logan is hanging on with MJ. And you, Jack, are hanging on with Kevin and Sheree.
Oh, I can't believe I got Kevin.
Yeah, you did. Got your
Oh
shell.
my
I got your
god.
shell. So,
But I will say the CT Phaedra, I mean, it's
yes,
been a running storyline. This
yes.
has been the cutest
It's
little
been the cutest
flirt
little
mans I've
thing.
ever seen.
I love it. I love their little flirt mans, whatever, if it's real or not. I just love it. It's cute. It's real cute. But that's it, y'all. We have talked about it. We're gonna be right back here next week talking about more Traitors US. Um, we have a few more episodes to go before we get to the end. It's
I think we
always
got like 6 more.
six more, maybe. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because I think it ends mid-March.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But we, like I said, we'll be back here talking about more. Follow us. Hit the subscribe button on here while you're here. If you stick around this whole time, you gotta like us a little bit, right? So hit the subscribe button on this channel. If you're a fan of drag, go hit the subscribe button on the Cup Pod. And if you're a fan of Eurovision, go hit the subscribe button on the Cup ESC. We have all the stuff coming out for you. If you want to be a member and join our tea party and join the tea room, go to the main channel at the Cup Pod and hit our memberships. $5 a month. We appreciate all of you for being a part of the Cup family. If you want to donate, just give us a one-time donation and give us a super thanks down there below in the main channel on the Cup Pod. On the Cup Pod. Give us a super thanks, and anything that you give us will go back into this channel, and we appreciate you. Also, follow us on our socials at the Cup Pod at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok because we have some funny moments that we like to share with you. So go follow us there, and you can follow Jack and I here on our Twitters, and you can go follow Jack on Jack Twitch stream because Jack puts out some stuff when Jack has time. But Jack is a busy person, so just be patient.
I'm just working like may I've considered coming back. I'm probably gonna come back within like a month or two, when time comes and when I'm not nearly as busy with life.
Period. And until then, just go follow them and wait for them to come back. And then scroll down further in the description where you can get your cup mug or cup merch at lanajscreations.etsy.com because why not? It's cute. You want to get one. So on that note, I say cheers to you all.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I really want to get Alan Cummings' wardrobe. Like